What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Roman's Rundown, Episode 6. Here is your host, Steve Roman. Steve, how we doing, bro?
Good, Dave. What's going on? It's been a couple of weeks here. Missed you. Went away on a family vacation, sort of like you. Went to Florida. Went a little
Nice.
bit further south. Skipped Orlando and went right to Fort Lauderdale, Miami area.
Right
Right
to
in
the
there.
right to the peace and quiet. Right past the Orlando exit.
As quick as I could. I blew some Mickey hats off. A couple kids. They didn't know where it came from. I think somebody on one of those go-karts eating a chicken bone or a thigh stick. It was the size of Fred Flintstone.
Yeah,
Blew
man.
out of their hand, and I was
So
out.
what's in Fort Lauderdale? What do you got going on down there?
I have a small place on the beach, so I'm able
Nice.
to get down there. Yeah, it's very nice. Listen, anybody that likes the beach, relax living. Nothing special, nothing out of the ordinary, but it is yours. It is private and it's nice. And it is actually on the beach with a pool. So it's in a very good spot where you can entertain your kids and not have to do much. It's safe. It's yours. It's secured.
I think in lieu of other services that you pay for, maybe we kind of say, Dave and the family can go down there one day and stay a couple days. So in lieu of payment.
Yeah, we can do
Hell yeah, man.
we can do in lieu of anything, because I know that you would do the right thing. And not only that, I know you and your wife would be like, wow, this is really perfect for our kids to get away for 5 days and escape
Hell yeah.
and
Hell
just
yeah.
enjoy life. It's really a prime spot. And
How was the weather down there?
we were there for about 8 days. I would say we had 40% bad, not bad, like rainy, overcast, subtropical Florida weather, 70s. And then the rest was about 75, 77 and sunny. Everybody
Beautiful.
got burnt, got a nice tan sitting on the beach, got some color. So a little
How do you
vitamin D.
with all the things that you've been talking about over the last couple of weeks in the first 5 episodes of this thing, how do you deprogram your kids to let go of the sports and then just kind of relax and cut back? Because I mean, like, they have to feel a certain way where they're like, Dad, I'm not training, I'm not doing this, I'm not going to practice. Like, how do they adjust easily over there? Or?
Well, I'm constantly the master of causing havoc by going, did you do your sit-ups? Did you do any crunches? Did you go to the gym? Has a really nice gym in the building, so you could go down and do a workout. There's a sauna in there, so you could go. I don't expect more than 15 minutes, but you got to practice what you preach. Am I sort of leading them down? No, I'm like, what are we doing for breakfast? There's 10 breakfast spot on the beach that you could walk to that are just cheap. Get a couple eggs, glass of orange juice. They serve grits down there, oatmeal. You're sitting on the beach, and it's just fun. You're killing an hour with your hour and a half with your family, just looking at the waves, eating some eggs.
Any nightlife or for the adults or?
Dave, my wife and I were really trying to get a night out because it's a good spot for us to just walk to a place and have a couple drinks, but by the end of the night, we were exhausted. We were with the kids. We were on the beach. And you ask, what did we do?
Nothing. Or everything.
What you just heard, the cricket, they thought we got cut out. That's basically what we did. We woke up pretty early. We would try to reduce the meals, which is hard with the kids. These kids everything's wrapped around food with
They're
them.
growing children.
Yeah, they're growing children. And anything you buy at the Winn-Dixie or bring in is not good. It's toxic.
Right.
Fruits, vegetables, you could poison us. We need to go out. We can't eat this at home. And you'll see as your kids get a little older, you and your wife will venture out. You'll share things with your children, but it'll be very meaningful and they'll remember it. And then they'll reminisce and be like, Dad, can we go out? And then when you start doing real sports, for whatever reason it is, these kids today think every successful outing is wrapped up with a Chick-fil-A meal. You go, what the, is there a sponsor? I mean, I know they're closed Sunday.
That's great.
Yeah, and I'm going, man, you guys got it made. I mean, I remember being a kid, if we brought in a pizza quarterly and you had to get 12 box tops to the pizza to get that pie free, as a kid, that's just how it was. So, my kids, they enjoyed it. They definitely, I mean, they're back too. It's funny you said that, Dave, because I said to my dad, dude, you're back, went to workouts. Your basketball season just ended. They lost their last game.
No.
Yes.
Dude, so fun. What are they were 14-0?
They were like 22-0.
Oh shit. All right.
They were 20. Yeah, I thought they were 19. And one of the parents were like, no, we're 22-0. We're going for I was like, really? It's
and this
that
is
many?
JV, right?
This is JV. Yeah, they have a really bright future. And this is Eva's secondary sport. Her number one sport is softball. She's a pitcher. Like I've said, a number, 4, 5, 6 hitter, big kid, throws hard. Basketball, she's like Charles Oakley, Charles Barkley.
Just throwing bows underneath the basket.
Yeah, she doesn't tolerate too much. I mean, she'll pick you up 10 rebounds, and if she has a good game, 10 points, a double-double. Tough, strong kid, but she's surrounded by point guards that are learning and young. And if the coaching is good, the next 2 years for Eva as a junior and a senior, they could do something. They may be able to be effective in the county, maybe make it to the first round. Listen, it's very hard to say win a championship in high school. I mean, my daughter, again, to come from 8th grade at 14 into 9th grade, make the varsity team, bat 5 every single game and win the Suffolk County championship, that is a life changer. If you're an athlete and you played sports your whole life, let alone doing it at 14 with kids that are 18. These kids are at UConn now.
That's right around the time when I was 14. That was right around the time like intimidation became like a big factor. Because I mean, like your whole life, you're playing sports against kids your age, and like it's competitive, and it's like what do they call Pop Warner or Little League or even Travel League. Like you start picking up the pace, but man, it's got to be something completely different to go right into high school ball and be playing girls that are driving to practice. You know what I mean? Or they're driving their own cars to the games.
Yeah, or calling my daughter Sweet Pea, and my daughter's telling me these 3 very pretty girls in a Jeep are picking her up, and I'm like, what? For what? I'm going. I'm shaking this off like a cartoon character, going, shaking my. And I'm going, wow, these kids are all seniors. They love my daughter because she's very mature. She's a starter. She's 14 years old. And she speaks with her game. So now they're endearing to her. All of a sudden, the studs that are going away to D1 schools, and this particular team had 5 or 6 kids going to D1 and D2 schools, more Division 2 than Division 1, because Division 1 is just such another level of.
So she's playing both varsity and JV?
Eva?
Yeah.
No, she's playing JV basketball.
Oh, and varsity baseball, softball.
Varsity softball.
Gotcha. Okay.
So softball.
But next year you would assume that she's going to be playing varsity basketball.
Next year as a junior and a senior, I would expect. I don't know if Eva will start as a junior or a senior. She may be 6 or 7 off the bench. She may be 5. They may need her just to control underneath because they have points. They don't really have bigs.
Right.
But they have 1s, 2s, and 3s.
Right.
Eva could be a kid that just opens it up, and she can shoot. Eva can shoot, 10, 12, 14-foot jump shots at almost 50%.
Nice.
If you put her in, she can shoot, and she could shoot the 3 at probably 35%. So it's not a kid that can't shoot, but she can't create her own shot. She doesn't have handles where she can do that. She's a stationary shooter that needs a point to drive, handle the ball, and hit Eva 15 feet away. Or even these kids can drive right to the hole and give it to her 2, 3, 4 feet, a step, and a layup. Most kids she'll run through or will foul her because she's a bigger, she's a big kid.
Hack a shack,
That's that mode where, and Eva doesn't care. Like she'll be like,
how's her free throws?
Her free throws are also, she great form. She's a 70% free throw shooter. She should be a 90% free throw shooter because she's such a outstanding shooter from 10 feet.
That's just reps, though. That's just
she's
reps.
Just from 10 feet. She's golden. She can hit everything, bro.
Right.
She's open. It's, she'll go 10 feet isn't far. As you go out, her percentage drops. But she's a good shooter. I mean, and she's a rebounder. So this team with their point guards next year. Eva will be a junior. Listen, I expect her to play as a junior and a senior. You better be playing varsity. Eva would be furious if even if she makes varsity and is sitting 6 and 7 on that bench. She'll get playing time and be in the game, Dave, and
You
she'll
need a
cause.
bench. You need a bench. And you know what? This is trickling down and kind of segueing into the fact that, like, you need a bench, and our beloved Knicks feel like their bench isn't really producing what we needed them to produce, considering the fact that we just got crushed by the injury bug, Steve. Like, I'm watching even Jalen Brunson now hobbled a little bit, considering the fact that he's just doing it all. Like, that just goes to show you that every move that the Knicks made to strengthen their bench, it almost does it seem like it wasn't enough at this point? Because I mean, they're losing games now. They got the brakes beat off them last night. I feel throughout the whole course of the game, they couldn't get it within like 7 or 8 of the Pelicans. You know what I mean? I'm just like, what the fuck are we doing here?
I've been watching them too. There's nothing we can really do being bit by the injury bug like that. They can't recover without Brunson. Haverstein got hurt again. He was out last night. OG is out. Randall's been out for weeks.
You look at the landscape of the East, and it's like, okay, everything's fine because they were able to carve out a nice little niche at the 4 or 5 spot, right? And they were like a game out of the 2 spot for a minute, right? So it's like, are they able to? Do you think over the next, I don't know, 6, 7 games, like, we're not towards the back stretch of the season just yet, but these games are going to add up. So do you think they can weather the storm? I mean, it looks like OG is the first one to come back in about they're saying 2 weeks. And then Randall, I mean, there was rumors, I was talking to Jimmy about this the other day, that there were rumors that he might have shut it all down and get surgery and not be around for the rest of the season, but apparently he's going to play. Can they weather this storm? Do you think the Knicks are going to be okay when it comes to getting into the postseason as a higher seed?
No, I don't.
Wow. Okay.
I don't think unless if the Knicks get healthy and
no,
all
of course.
sudden,
I'm saying, like, can they weather the next couple weeks?
I don't see it. I mean, they made Zion look like a beast last night, and he is not really special to me.
Can I tell you how mad I was when we didn't get the lottery pick for Zion, and then like after the fact, I'm like, oh, thank God.
Happy. I know. What a disappointment. What a bust is right. I mean, watching him beat the Knicks last night when the Knicks had nobody, and DiVincenzo can't do it alone.
No,
Deuce,
not at all.
McAllister, these kids can't do it alone. And DiVincenzo's played the best basketball that he could possibly play for the rest of his NBA life. He's reached the pinnacle for him. This is the best he'll ever be, which is unbelievable. I mean, he's scoring.
Same thing with like guys like Josh Hart. Like, these guys are playing like they have to deliver and their best performances of every game, it seems.
That's why I'm telling you the Knicks can't do it without their players back. And what was so exciting was, and right before we had left Jimmy's show, we went through that trade, and the three of us were bitching and complaining, and we were making fun of everybody, and the front office, and we were disappointed with everybody. And they came back, and then within 4 weeks, we were going, holy shit.
Yeah.
The chemistry was together.
Yeah.
The Villanova crew was bringing in the blood and the guts and the tears, the Josh Hart hustle.
Josh Hart literally busted wide open last night. His freaking whole face was busted open, and there was no foul called. And I was thinking, like, is that like ball don't lie type mentality because of the other night when he basically like lunged at the guy's legs in that Pistons game? That Pistons game, I don't know if you saw the end of that. That might have been the craziest game I've watched in recent memory, as far as the conclusion of it on how it all plays out. I mean, there had to been 4 turnovers in a matter of like 3 seconds. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean,
and the struggle with the Pistons was annoying as is, because the Pistons got 8 fucking wins throughout the course of the season. There's no business being in that game like that. That was alarming. I thought it was.
Well, that was the beginning of saying the Knicks can't play without their starting team. Nobody can. As hungry as we are as fans, and as superb as this has been, better than 30 years that we've seen, the Knicks are hurt. And not only are they hurt, they're devastated by their top players are not able to play. You say, oh, for a week? No. for weeks, a month at a time. The Knicks cannot sustain this type of onslaught of injuries and think that they're going to be a team that's going to be, they're just going to maybe make it in, possibly, and then be eliminated immediately because they don't
if they're
have
not healthy, right? I mean, this team is from everything that I've seen. When this team's healthy, like it's NBA or like conference championship round or bust if these guys are all gelling. But if they can't get healthy, and it's like we're going to be in the fucking play-in game, you know what I mean? Like we're going to be in that lower tier. It's going to suck because this is such a wasted. A wasted. I don't want to say it's a wasted season, but if they fall flat with the team they got right now as assembled because of the injuries, it's going to feel like one of the biggest wastes of a season that we've endured. Right? I mean,
here we go again. It's us
right.
reminiscing about being hurt again. And do we want to expose ourselves? We talked about this. Do we want to allow ourselves to believe that this team can be the team to take us over the hump, a team that'll grind, a team that's now the top 5 best teams in the NBA, and everybody knows it? Because when you're coming across the Knicks, you don't say, wow, it's just Brunson, or it's everybody. It's Randall, it's Brunson, it's Hart, it's Haverstein, it's the OG, it's the bench, it's DiVincenzo. You're deep. You have 3 kids that played together in college.
We're not even talking about Bogdanovich that they just acquired. You know what I mean? Like that guy could score.
That guy, we didn't even discuss him, and I don't even think he's been that good yet. I've watched him shoot and miss more than he's hit. And when he's on and shooting over his head, like they say, that's just the kind of shooter he is. And he's a tough guy. He's a European dude who I happen to like the European players because they're very businesslike. They're
cut from a different cloth, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, the kids that we have today that are sick, and I don't want to talk about, Memphis and, the kid again over there, Ja Morant, but that is what America is with our children that play the game, all different, maybe not to that extreme. I'll battle with you, call in, and I'll discuss it with you. And then you have the European kid that's different, where the Greek freak grew up in poverty in Greece and was playing at the YMCA, and his brothers, and his brother wouldn't even be in the league. He'd be on playing video games at his brother's house because the Greek freak. But no, he was hungry too. Any of his brothers got into the league, and they're not great players, but they're guys that made the league, got $6-7 million contracts, and will run through walls for their coaches.
Absolutely.
Where we have the American kids that are going, what'd you say? Practice. We'll go back to Jim Moore. Practice.
No. You got it mixed up. You got playoffs for Jim Moore, and practice was Allen Iverson.
Allen Iverson, yes. I just did a great remix. So that wasn't even intended for you guys out there that want to remix that commercial with Reebok and Nike. Let's go. Yo, come on.
We're trying to make some guap over here.
That's it, bro. We got to get Dave a condo. Let's go. Not above the 9th floor. That's bullshit. Just saying. He's down there. I say hi as I go up.
Oh man. So that's basketball on the front. But look, man, you were down in Florida. You know who else is down in Florida? The New York Yankees, the New York Mets, the entire Major League Baseball is down in Florida right now, gearing up. Yeah, gearing up for another season. You're a Yankee guy like me. Yeah. Last year might have been one of the most disappointing seasons that we've seen as a fan base since like the early 90s, I guess you could say. That's kind of where I started to become a fan of the Yankees was like 91, 92. I fell in love with like Bernie Williams and stuff like that. And then like my favorite player of all time, I mean, it's very chalk at this point, but it's Derek Jeter. You know, like I grew up as a Jeter guy. Like I bought 2 Yankee jerseys, Steve, in my day. 2. Who do you think they are besides Jeter? So who's the other one?
Mariano Rivera.
Aaron Judge.
Oh, Judge. Okay.
So it's like I've
you have the new captain. You have the old captain.
Yeah, right. I've selected some good players. I'm not a big baseball jersey guy, but I was like, if I'm going to invest in a player, I love the way Judge carries himself. I loved the way Jeter was all class, and now it's like you're finally starting to see his personality, which is kind of cool. because you didn't get to see that. He was all business. He was very Kobe Bryant Mamba mentality esque when he was playing the game. But I'm pumped, man. I mean, look, the season last year was a complete debacle, right? You miss all postseason play. You're watching the postseason and you're just like, this doesn't even feel right. Like with the Yankees not even being in it. But I guess my question to you is, you see the Yankees on how they've kind of constructed their roster. It seems like the Steinbrenners were kind of fed up with the losing mentality and then just not championship or bust. They go out and they make a big, big splash. I was in Disney World when the trade actually went through for Juan Soto. So all of a sudden it felt like the bullies were back in the Bronx as far as we're getting whoever we want. Do you see this team? Can they achieve the ultimate goal as constructed right now?
No, we are short a pitcher.
Now, there has been rumblings about Blake Snell. I know there's off and on talks with that, but as of right now, the Yankees, obviously they got Garrett Cole, who's the best pitcher in baseball at this point. They went out and signed Marcus Stroman for 18 mil, so it wasn't like it was a big, big, big contract. But then you got Nestor Cortez, hopefully bouncing back from what he just did. So you think it's still lackadaisical in the arm department?
I do. I just, getting Blake Snell to me was just as important as getting Soto. And they're playing with a guy who they already failed with Rodon.
Do you think it's a failed already, though? Do you think it's a failed job? I mean, he was kind of banged up last year.
Yeah, but we brought him over in hopes that this guy was going to do something for us.
It was only 1 year so far. I mean,
no, I know. I'm saying in the short period of time that Rodon is there, every time he's put the pinstripes on, he's been a huge letdown to me. They gave him $160 million. He had an attitude about him, too, which I didn't really feel was warranted, where he should have cowered and said, I'm hurt. I'm going to be back. Whatever. I didn't like his attitude. He's got a lot to prove to me. I watched Nestor pitch yesterday. I'm worried about him too. He had 4 strikeouts, but he gave up 7 hits in 2 innings. That was the Nestor that we left off with last year. True. He's throwing 94. That's about as fast as he'll ever throw it. I am a huge Nestor fan. I bought his T-shirts. I support him. I wanted to get to the 10th floor. I invested some of my personal finances to help his T-shirts. I love his attitude. I love him as a person. His personality is everything I want the Yankees to be, because we went through a period of time with Jeter that he was so Mamba-like, and I wanted more because you and I are a little more personable, where Judge brings his dog out on the field with Rizzo. They're like buddies. We see a little bit of, open wounds that these guys will be more open and honest. Where, for 20 years, you watch Jeter, you couldn't penetrate a concrete wall. Other than championships. There were no girlfriends. There were no TV shows. Well, that you knew of. He kept everything out of.
Did you ever hear the rumor about the gift baskets?
I did. Yeah. I mean, hey, listen, if you're in that position, yeah, right. Exactly. I'm sure he was working with Harry and David too. God knows they don't even talk about. That's probably his biggest contract.
Right.
And he doesn't even talk. All these girls got chocolate covered fruits from exotic fruits from Harry and David. I mean,
some girls got the walk of shame, but some girls are leaving with gift baskets. So I mean,
you can't fault them.
They're the happiest pigs and shit, man. It's
they're sharing chocolate covered cherries with their girlfriend going over this story. Could you just go over it one more time? And when did he put the hat on? He put it on backwards? That must have been exciting. God, Marla.
Marla. Man, it's a throwback. But yeah, I mean, you look at this team as constructed right now. It's weird, and maybe you do the same thing. But I look at the Yankees, and I always try to compare them to their successful seasons, meaning who could be the CC Sabathia of the rotation? Who could be, who can close out games like Mariano Rivera used to? Nobody, right?
Nobody, bro. Chapman, we don't have.
Oh, Chapman was I mean, dude, there was times where I'm like, this is awesome to have a guy that could throw gas like this, pitch after pitch after pitch without missing a beat. And then all of a sudden, there was a time where he just faced the Astros and he would just kind of give that smirk and smile when he saw one just go sailing over his head 400 feet. And I'm just like, dude, why are you smiling right now? It might have been a nervous tick, but at the same time, he just cost us the entire thing, like
He walked out on us.
he really did. He
He
really did.
walked right out. He
I know.
got he went and got a tattoo, and it got infected. Which listen, if I don't know where you're getting your tattoos, bro. You're making 20 million a year. You shouldn't be getting infected tattoos.
No,
But
not at all.
if you are, do it in the off season.
Right.
We're in the prime time. I'm paying you big money to be on call. I need you to be a team player on call. That's the epitome of an anti-cheater. Between the tattoo, quitting on the team, shooting the gun off in Miami, it just started to crumble. I mean, he was throwing 102, 103 miles per hour.
He's still in the league. He's still in the league. So it's
He just got picked up for $4 million for this year. So even if he does nothing, they gave him another $4 million.
And some people just don't know how to handle their money. You know what I mean? Like, he's obviously not spent his money wisely. But like, you look for that leadership, and I think Aaron Judge does possess that. I think Aaron Judge absolutely takes it personal when the Yankees lose baseball games, right? Like, he really does take it like, I don't give a shit what I did at the plate. If we didn't win the game, I don't really care. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care what we did or how we did it. If we lost 7-6, I didn't have that extra hit that I needed. I could have went 5 for 5, but if I or 4 for 5, but if I wouldn't went 5 for 5, we would have won the game. You know what I mean? Like, I think he's got that dog mentality in him, and it seems like he needs a little bit of a mix of youth and experience. So like, I'm seeing guys like, DJ LeMahieu had a really bad year last year, but if he's like 85% or 90% of what he was last year, I think we can get a solid hitter out of like guys like LeMahieu. No?
Listen, this guy is all world. They call him the machine for a reason.
Right.
This guy had 2 bad years. He came into the pinstripes and was lights out. I never seen a guy hit like this before, like ridiculous. And if you watched him come in, he was absurdly amazing.
Right.
And then he fell off and I said, he had an off year. What do you expect? 325 and 100 every outing. This guy's playing every position at an all-star level in the infield, third base, second base, first base. This guy's playing an elite job. He had a terrible that year wasn't great, and last year was a very difficult year. But I will tell you, the second half of the season, he turned it on. His numbers were double of what they were the first half of the season. He hit 300, well over 300 the second half of the season, and had 40 RBIs the second half of the season. So to me, DJ LeMahieu's crucial if he's going to be your number one hitter. You have to have DJ LeMahieu hit 275. He's got to have 20 homers, and he's got to have
expectations. Do you think the expectations for hitting for average have lowered in the sport of baseball? Because it's like, I remember, I mean, not to date myself, but back in my day, if guys hit 300, you were fucking elite. You were elite. And now if you're hitting 260, you're still pretty good. And I'm just like, you're 40 points away from what I think should be a Hall of Fame player. You know what I mean? So it's like, do you think the expectations are lower, or do you think, like, look, we all know how this analytics bullshit is playing into the game, and there's just, it's unavoidable. You can't get around it. But like, if a guy hits 260, but his on base percentage is 350, 400, then you're like, this guy's a stud. Have we lost the ability to just like really dissect on who's a good hitter and who's not?
I mean, I could go through good hitters with you right now and tell you that, there are well-rounded players, Dave. If you got a guy hitting 270 and had 20 home runs and 70 RBIs, and I'm going to throw in 10 stolen bases and played an above average outfield, he's going to start on your team. He's going to be one of the better players on your team. And I'm talking about a consistent player. Go through the Yankee lineup. You got Wells, who's a baby, the catcher, right? High expectations for him.
I love his grit. I love his playing style. I think that we finally got ourselves a decent catcher that we could develop. Since we haven't had a catcher in fucking a couple of
years already. You go back to Posada, maybe.
Posada, right?
No, I like Higashioka but he really wasn't a stud star, like you said.
Right.
You could probably Posada. So you have Wells, you have Trevino. Trevino's Garrett Cole's personal catcher, and he's a great defensive catcher. So you're going to keep him in the rotation, and Wells needs rest. You can't wear him down. So if you have, let's say, Wells, Cole, or you go Trevino, Cole, however you want to do it. But I'm expecting a lot of nice things from our catching position between those two guys.
Yeah.
I'm talking about a 260 batting average between them both. I'm
and
talking about
more than likely batting at the bottom of the lineup. So it's like both
absolutely,
of them, 7, 8, 9.
I'm expecting 30 homers between the two of them, which is about 15, however you want to break it down, at least 15 a clip, maybe, So if we can get a 260 batting average, 30 homers, 65 RBIs out of them, and they're very good defensive catchers, we're in very good position there. Pitching, we'll discuss, Cole is the best in the world right now. He's proven it the last couple of years. He can't do it alone. That's not the name of the game. He proved that last year being the best in the world on a team that was just an average team. First base, you have Rizzo, who I'm concerned about. He's streaky. He's one of my favorite players. He's past his prime. He had his prime with the Cubs. He did some great things with the Yankees. I absolutely love his personality. I love that he beat cancer. I love him. I love his dog, but I worry about him being, and I expect from Rizzo, 280, 30 homers, and 75 to 80 RBIs. That's my expectations. I feel like that's going to be a big
60 homers between two positions already. So you're expecting some power.
I am. I absolutely. And then I haven't even gotten the Glaber, who hit 25 home runs last year.
And he's on a contract year, if I'm not mistaken. So this kid's got to really deliver, or he's going to be out of here.
He's not. He's going to deliver. He's matured into he's the top 5 best second baseman in the world. That's my opinion.
You think so?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Based on his season last year. He's a sick fielder. Can run like a deer. He's in his prime. He's got great hand-eye coordination. He's a beast with the bat, and he's grown up a lot the last half decade. He's the Yankees. I can't see the Yankees not signing him to a minimum after this. If he produces like he did last year, Dave, he's going to get a 5-year offer at about $15 million a year from the Yankees.
From the Mets.
Yeah, we'll lose him. Right.
We'll
if
Gleyber Torres plays out of his mind this year, we will lose him. I can almost assume.
If the Yankees let him go after, and they don't do anything again, and they let him go, and he produces at his age a 275 batting average, 25 homers, and 70 RBIs, and they cut him loose to someone for $100 million for 5 years. They give him $20 million a year, and the Yankees let him go. Then it's on the Yankees. Then they have someone to replace him because, to me, he's your best top 5 second baseman in the world. I'll argue that with whoever you want. The numbers speak for themselves. Based on last year and this year, I'm expecting him to same duplicate numbers.
How you feeling about good old shortstop Volpe? Yeah,
I worry about him too. I think he's.
I think the stage is too big for him. I mean, like he did deliver in spots last year, but overall, you would say that like as the prospect that he was coming into the season, you were like, okay, this is going to be great. And then like it was very hard to analyze a lot of these guys because of the fact that the Yankees just weren't winning baseball games. It was very hard.
Volpe is not like a Cal Ripken, a Jeter, an A-Rod. Right, but you look at he's small, bro. He's a small man. He's a little guy. Shortstops come back in the day with Yogi Berra, a 5'7", 5'8" shortstop was a beast. Was big. Was really, this guy's a little dude. Does he have the durability like Jeter, who was 6'2", 210 and worked? He was wiry strong. I mean, he was a strong guy. Forget about A-Rod, Ripken. You go through Robin Yount, some of the greatest shortstop. These guys were 6'4". I worry about his size and strength. I like his speed. I like his fielding. I don't know if he's going to be a kid that hits 280, that can give you 15, 20 homers, play a flawless shortstop, and drive in 70. That's what the Yankees need at shortstop. That's
It's
what
true.
they need. They don't need someone to hit 235 with 8 home runs and 37 RBIs.
For me, it's like, get on base, kid. Just get on base. You know what I mean? Like, just get on base. We'll let the
Steal
power hitters do the
bases,
rest. Yeah.
but
Steal some bags too. Absolutely.
he's gotta be on base, whether it's walks or singles. He's gotta be on base. His on base percentage has to be big. So there's a question mark there. I haven't had really one question mark until we got to shortstop, right?
Yeah. And yeah, third base we talked about already with LeMahieu being the stud that he is, so that's good. Now you shift it to the outfield, and now you're looking at a team where it's like, okay, now it's
a dream team. Now you
now
have a dream team.
Now you're like you're getting rid of the PTSD that you have with Aaron Hicks, right? You don't have that anymore. You're starting to not worry about that. Aaron Judge is going to shift over to center field and play some center field. Obviously, then you got Juan Soto, you got Giancarlo Stanton, who's not probably going to play too much field this year, I don't think. I mean, I saw a stat the other day, Steve, 31% of last year on the IL, 31% of the games. So you're looking at over a quarter of the season, you're out and not available. And now he's showing up looking like a little bit leaner, a little bit more on the thin side. My father always said he feels like Giancarlo Stanton. He's a Mets fan, but he looks at Stanton, he looks like he's wound too tight, to be a baseball player. He doesn't look like your DJ LeMahieu. He looks like a fucking Greek statue that's playing the sport of baseball. And sometimes it doesn't bode well for a guy that size.
Yeah, I agree, Dave. Sorry about that. Yeah, he's not pliable or flexible. And if you look past his last 5 years, he's been on the bench, I think, 39% of the time. So it's almost 40% of the time over the last. And it's finally, I appreciate his honesty because he's made, $250 million in baseball. And I do appreciate that he has carried the team for small increments at a time. And he's sort of a nice guy where he's humble about it and he handles himself well. This particular year coming in, he's 20 pounds lighter. He got rid of that muscle mass, which is constricting him. Like your father said, he's like a constrictor. He can't loosen. That's not a game. Constricting and looking like a Greek god or the Rocky statue in Philly isn't going to help you be a better baseball player.
It's not.
So I think his people got him and said, listen, you got to lose the muscle mass. We got to get you into yoga, stretching, be more pliable. And he did come out and say it's not acceptable the amount of time that he is on the field. And he did say that. I did appreciate that because they're not subtracting any of that money, Dave. That's not going to us as disgruntled fans.
Right.
I think Jimmy's in a pipeline to get a few bucks, but I don't want to get into that.
Especially as the leader of the Giancarlo Stanton fan club.
Yes, absolutely.
he thinks
the Carney Lansford fan.
That too. He thinks Stanton could do no wrong. Right? Yeah. And I was like, how much time you got? I'll tell you how much wrong Stanton can do.
Yeah, that's a show I may have to horn in on. With your dad actually as a special guest. Yeah. But very disappointing there. But hopefully he can come back. I mean, I love hearing that he hits the ball the hardest of anybody in the league off the bat, and he hits the furthest home runs, which is really cool. What would be amazing is that he played 80% of the season, had some real nice numbers, and what became a united force. With the beasts like Judge. Soto, who I've watched already, is something special. Now
he's got some opposite field power that I didn't think existed, man. That ball went, I think it was over 400 feet the other day. Opposite way.
Yeah. It was. I didn't think it was out. I thought it was going to be a pop-up deep to left center the other way. And it flew over the wall. And I know the balls fly out of Legends Field in Tampa, but he just said, I didn't really get it. I hit it the other way. And he said, I liked it.
Can you imagine? I didn't get that when I was off the end of the bat, but yet it still carries over 400 feet. And you're like, holy God. Like if this guy gets a hold of one in Yankee Stadium, he might put one out of the stadium.
Yeah.
Especially right field. I mean, it's like the short porch. I mean, come on. He's going to hit the back wall.
The
Plenty of
Yankees.
shots into Monument Park this year. So,
I mean, you're right. The Yankees have the best outfield in the game, hands down this year, if they can stay healthy and produce. We didn't even talk about Verdugo, who is a player that
Doogie. Yeah, I mean, look, he had the most punchable face on the Boston Red Sox roster. I wanted to
he killed
like,
us.
I want to maul him every time he got to the bat. I just was like, if I was that guy in the field, I would just fucking spear him, double leg takedown. Just like I hated Verdugo. He started to climb the ranks of like the Dustin Pedroias of the world. Like for
Yeah.
me, like I just wanted to just maul this dude. Then he comes to the Yankees, and shit. It's not the same as Johnny Damon. When Damon came over, I was like, this piece of shit, I don't want nothing to do with this guy. You know what I mean? He murdered us in the ALCS, right? Like he just completely shattered dream. Verdugo was that punchy, like scrappy dude that you're like, I hate this guy, but man, if he was on my team, I would root for him to no end. And sure as shit, now we're here. And Verdugo's going to get some playing time, man.
Yeah, he's going to cause some problems. This guy's fitting in real well.
Mm.
I'm watching his personality, how he's conducting himself. He's palling around with Judge. He's palling around with Soto. Soto, I worry about, has a little bit of that Latino hop, skip, and a jump attitude, where New York sometimes can be a little bit of can percolate in a bad way if it's a bad setting. I think this guy's going to get a pass. They did ask him. He does some sort of hop, skip.
Oh, it's like it's the shuffle. It's that little shuffle thing. Yeah, that's going to get over well, but it's going to get very old if he bats like 190 in April. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that'll put him on a short fuse. I mean, I don't know if I necessarily like it, but then when I watch him play and the names that they have him with, Babe Ruth and whoever, you're like, gotta let it, just leave it.
Sometimes they really do like to compare guys too quick, and then all of a sudden the expectation of these guys are like super high, and it's just like, oh man, I wish they wouldn't have done that. I wish they wouldn't have said like, hey, Soto's the best hitter since Ted Williams, and you're just like, no, come on, like,
it's early, it's hype. I mean, it is interesting to see that based on his numbers at this point, you're like, and I agree with you, like, wow, you're saying, God, sustain it another 5 or 10 years, then mention those names.
Right.
That's what you're saying. Don't come to me after 3 or 4 years and then talk about Babe Ruth and Stan Musial,
And this just as well as I do. Like, baseball players are now being, first of all, I get a little upset because I am a baseball head after all, but like I feel like the kids are shying away from playing baseball because maybe it's not overstimulating for them. But like when the kids that are making their way into the league, they're faster, they're stronger, they're just freak athletes, So like for every Juan Soto that's coming into the league, give it another 5 years and there will be another phenom that comes into the league. You know what I mean? Like there is a breeding ground, and maybe it comes from the DR, maybe it comes from Puerto Rico, like these guys down there, just like we talked about the European basketball players. I feel like, it's just a different way of life when you're playing baseball down in the Dominican Republic. You're just a better baseball player. I don't know. Do you agree with that sentiment? Like,
I do. They don't have, or there's the other extreme where you have a kid like Matt Holliday. Matt Holliday, the great baseball player. He has 2 sons. Both of his sons are the number 1 prospects in the United States as baseball players. Now, Matt Holliday made $100 million in his career. If you look to see where Matt Holliday's kids are training, and
top notch, I'm assuming.
Bro, it's gorgeous. You talk about a pickleball court. I'm just talking about weights, wiffle ball field, radar guns, and I'm talking about an airplane warehouse,
right,
where these guys are hitting with their father.
Those are popping up, I think, more frequently now. These training facilities for baseball indoors.
But this is just his house.
Right.
This is his house. So
that's the 3rd floor, by the way.
It's right. But it's the 3rd floor of his estate. I'm in a building. This is the 3rd floor of his estate where you're elevating up to the sports complex.
Yeah.
So if you're wealthy and in that position, and like LeBron, his son had a heart condition, but take a look at Matt Holliday's kids. It's either you came from wealth. Your dad was one of the greatest athletes that walked the planet
Mm-hmm.
because he played professional baseball, made 100 million. The stats speak for themselves. Anyone that plays in the MLB is top 2%, 1% athlete in the world.
That's what drives me nuts when people are just like,
dude,
even when they're watching the NFL or the baseball or whatever sport they're watching, they're like, this guy stinks. I'm like, this guy stinks. He's playing
in the big
majors. He's a big league ball player. Get off your high horse. The guy is one of the best in the world at what he does. There's a roster of 40 men, per team. So maybe like 120 players that start in the league out of the millions that are around the world. Like, it's just, for anybody who I hate the over critiquers. You guys are driving me nuts.
Wait until you get your kids out there. And then I have my daughter playing, varsity softball, and you're listening to parents in the background going, my kid's unreal. They're going to UCLA. You see 0.1% of the kids playing softball in America are going to UCLA.
Right.
What are you talking about? Now, granted, the kid's maybe an all Long Island, Suffolk County player, but like you said, oh God, hard to deal with, man. People are not in reality, and it's very, very unfortunate. And when you look at it, or someone did play in the big leagues, the NHL, the NBA, all these are the best athletes in the world. And even if you sniffed it for a minute, you played AAA, you're still considered one of the best athletes in the world.
Think about that. Like, if you're ranked 33rd as a quarterback in the world, that means you're the best backup right now. Like, you are still the 33rd best football player or quarterback in the nation right now, or in the world rather. You know what I mean? So
right, and you're going to make a couple of $1 million,
right?
Dude.
The backup quarterback might be the best job of all time. Just so everybody's clear, you're holding the clipboard, you're running the scout team, and then if called upon, you get your moment in the sun. But if not, guess what? You're good. You're financially set for the rest of your life. But anyway, look.
Quick story. Yeah, I wanted to tell you a quick story. Dustin Pedroia, you were talking about, can't stand him as a Yankee fan. Did you hear the story about him and Big Papi? All the years they had their success together.
I hate Ortiz too, by the way.
Miss
me with the Hall of Fame with this guy, considering the fact that he was linked just like everybody else with your steroids and shit. And now all of a sudden you get in the Hall of Fame. Why? Because you got shot a couple years back
in Puerto Rico, in your hometown.
Yeah, they really love you down there.
This was phenomenal. They did a roasting, and they were talking about Pedroia, and Pedroia said all the 10 years he played with Papi, all those years, he called him Pee-wee. That was just, that's what David Ortiz called him, was Pee-wee.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they were hanging out, and it was towards the end of their career, and they were doing an announcement at a game or something, and it was the best athletes, and they announced Dustin Pedroia. They go, and Dustin Pedroia, and David Ortiz is sitting next to him, and he goes to David Ortiz says to Pedroia, Pee-wee, goes, Pee-wee, they just call you Justin or Dustin? He goes, it's not Justin, it's Dustin. He goes, why are they calling you that? He goes, are you fucking serious, bro?
He didn't know his name the entire time.
He did in 10 years. He goes, in 10 years.
That's great.
Yeah, I just thought it was a great story. And coming from them, if you ever get a chance to see it, it's hysterical because we hate them anyway. But to think these guys played together and Papi really didn't have the respect to even know. Like, you think, how do you not know? You playing in a fucking major.
Well, when you nickname somebody for so long, you almost I got guys that I'm like best friends with since high school that I got a good friend I call him Slim. Slim has been his name for as long as I've known him. And sometimes when somebody's like, hey, I was talking to Anthony, I'm like, who the fuck is Anthony? And I was like, and I would forget. And I'm like,
that's true.
Slim, so that does happen from time to time. But listen, episode 6 comes and goes in the books. We're talking Knicks, we're talking Yankees, we're talking spring training, our expectations. We're very excited about it. Next week, obviously, with another week closer to the season, more things will pop up. So, Steve, kind of close it out. Let the people know, where to find you online and how to follow the show.
Yeah, so continue on checking us out. Dave will have us online on all the forums. Dave, the forums are YouTube.
Yeah, Instagram, YouTube, all the clips from the show can be found on Steve Roman's on Instagram, and of course the YouTube channel Chop Sports Media. We house a couple shows over there between Roman's Rundown, the Jimmy Palumbo Show, Jersey Boys Podcast, Midlife Crisis with Jim Whalen. So we got a couple cool, and the Dude Cast, of course. So a couple cool shows. Steve is right there as I guess you can call him the 3-hitter right now. So he's sitting there and he's looking to become the cleanup guy real quick. So.
All right. Well, we'll keep it going. Dave and I'll keep it going. We'll be talking about our families, incidents that we have, behavioral intervention plans. I know all you parents out there need to hear it. We need to hear it. Keep your minds open. It's always good to know how to handle your kids, the best way to go about it. And Dave and I will always be touching on sports, but we always will be touching on reality and things that are disturbing us in our life and how to make it better. So we appreciate you guys. Show number 6. Thank you to Dave for handling everything behind the glass, as Jimmy would say, Mr. Palumbo. Shout out to Jimmy. And let's go Yankees. Let's go Knicks. And let's go to our break, our commercial break that we don't have.
Let's go to episode 7 next week. See you guys later.
All right. Take care. Peace. Thanks, Dave.